So I was reading Joshua for a class or for an assignment. We had to read the first 6 chapters of Joshua. Now I had already read previously the first 3, and so I just went ahead and read 4, 5, and 6 when they are crossing the Jordan and conquering places like Jericho. My big problem when I read the Old Testament is a detail problem. So I don't know if anybody else has this, but if anybody sees this, it's interesting, and I'm gonna give glory to God in a second, because I realized when I was reading, I was like, wait, I'd read this story 6 times by now, but this time was different because I read it and I was like, wait, let me stop for a second and like put together this imagery, the imagery of what the Jordan would act like, why this is so significant, why these people's hearts melted in fear when they heard they'd crossed the Jordan, they were in this new territory. They were like, wait, this is scary. This is a big deal. Because like when you're reading, you have the Jordan, and like it gives a description of from this point to this point, the water was just like split, just like the Red Sea, and it was just standing there until 40,000 people crossed, ready for war. And I'm just like, wait a minute, 40,000 people? That's a big gap. That's like miles worth of, land that had to be made, that was split. So just creating this image, like playing this story out, and like just realizing that it took them a couple years to take all these places, but like they were able to take it because everyone's heart melted, because how could you not? They were terrified. And I just thought that was really cool. I thought it'd be interesting for someone to hear that perspective. Maybe you needed that like I did, to realize the sheer magnitude of God's power. Because like I know for me personally, I would always imagine the story go a little bit like this. You have this little bitty 2-inch gap, or like, a little puddle of a river, and they step in with the little Ark of the Covenant, and then people just like meander around, and then 20 people walk by and the story's over. Like, no. Could you imagine like just putting in the scope 40,000 people in a span of probably a mile or so? I'm bad at distance, but like that's crazy. That's crazy to think about. And I hope that would bolster someone's imagination when reading the Old Testament, because it's actually kind of sick and really cool. But let that sink in, and hopefully that helps. Hopefully that helps somebody read the Old Testament with a bit more broader imagination, because I'm learning it and it's fantastic. So hopefully that helps. God bless.